Back. We are back with John McKenzie. John McKenzie's Chief Executive Officer of TMX Group. We're going to talk to John just for a couple more minutes on a topic that's on the mind of investors, and that's what all this uncertainty is doing to the market for initial public offerings. We spoke with a U.S. expert fairly recently, and it was noted that big names like Klarna and StubHub have recently declined put on the shelf their plans to go public because of uncertainty in U.S. capital markets and plunging U.S. stock markets. John McKenzie of TMX Group, what's the situation here in Canada?
Well, it's very similar here, and I can tell you from our experience, it's actually similar all around the world. And so one of the benefits of the role we're in is I participate with other exchange leaders all across the globe, and we are all seeing the same thing, where even just in the fall, we had a lineup of companies we were engaged with that were looking to raise public money that have essentially taken a pause. And you can understand that, given that the volatility in the marketplace does create that lack of confidence. So it makes it very hard for a board of directors to say, I'm going to test the market now.
Right.
Now, we've got some unique things in Canada that help us in this global context, the way the U.S. wouldn't. We mentioned it earlier that we've got a venture exchange that actually supports small cap companies. There's a lot of ways to come on the marketplace that are not IPOs, like capital pool transactions, qualifying transactions, direct listings. And we're continuing to bring companies to market that way that can then grow in the public ecosystem. But that big IPO is still missing. And that's why everything we've been talking about earlier on around how do you actually create better conditions for capital raising, lower taxes, higher confidence, the ability to get projects done are so key to filling that confidence gap that's keeping companies on the sidelines.
We talked about the mining industry in our first conversation. Every year when we go to the PDAC show, Prospectors Development Association for Canada is always talk about the price of metals. In very simple terms, price of metals up equals positive sentiment, price of metals down equals more bearish sentiment. Price of many metals now, gold most notably, is way up. Copper is also up. It's a flagship base metals metal. Does that affect the pace of IPOs in that sector?
It should. And I had the same experience with PDAC this year. You know, one of the best attended PDACs, a lot of energy in the show. But that translation of great market conditions to actual financing is missing because of the confidence gap. So not just the prices of metals are strong, liquidity in the market's very strong. Overall values have held up really well. If we look at the S&P TSX 60 over the last while, we're actually holding up very well. All those conditions, and with a lot of capital on the sidelines, interest rates coming down, should be the recipe for more financing, more IPOs. But you've got this investor confidence gap and a business confidence gap because of everything that's going on in the U.S. market translating throughout the rest of the world. I am a big believer that it's the first movers that will pave the way here. So when some strong companies who have got good deals to make can get their IPOs done, that'll actually be the bellwether for others to follow. But it's going to take some courage for some to do it.
We talked a lot about what you think the the federal government can do to improve confidence. But in the shorter term, how important is some clarity south of the border on what's going on with trade policy?
I think we've learned at this point that we actually can't wait for clarity south of the border and really need to orient our policies in Canada in terms of what makes us more competitive. We can't control what's going on in the U.S. administration, but we can control what we do for competitiveness here. And that's the piece that I'm getting more impatient on because all the dialogue is around tariffs. We still haven't made any real moves yet around making Canada more competitive.
Okay. John, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you so much.
John McKenzie, CEO of TMX Group, the operator of the Toronto Stock Exchange.